Hi, this is Arun from arunsyoga.in. I'm a software engineer who mostly work with Node.js, PHP, and other backend technologies. And I'm an open source contributor as well. I'm a tantric by birth in a family which is passing tantric wisdom from generations to generations from past 2000 years of legacy, and got lucky to travel across India and got chances to study under various gurus from different backgrounds and disciplines. You could connect with me in arunsyoga.in. Here I'm helping you to design a divine lifestyle which is based on Vedic astrology, tantra, and other yogic system of understanding. Hello and hi all. Today's podcast we are having Satyama again. This podcast we are having a discussion about her upcoming movies and giving a thought process on what is tantra and what is tantra is not. So, welcome to our next episode of podcast series Tantric Workshop of Satyama.
My name is Satyama, and I am the founder of Open to Bliss Tantra Retreats with yoga. So many people wonder what we are doing in these kinds of retreats. What is it that you do? And we do weave in yoga, very classical yoga, with Tantra so that the Tantra teachings are at a very high level. So I use Osho meditations, also influences from Taoism, in order to show experientially what people can learn from the practice of stillness, concentration, and being able to hold space, moving into the emotional body and clearing out trauma so that you can go to a place of pleasure and very, very high consciousness. So join us for the next one. I cannot explain it enough in that you get a lot of love, a lot of connection, and a lot of things you might be longing for through this, and it's never anything that you ever expect.
So what's happening? You are conducting workshops in Thailand, and what is it like?
What's happening? Well, I would say the bigger news in like Copenhagen, anywhere where I live, and in Thailand in general with this whole COVID situation is that Thailand is open now. And so more people can come in to the country without having to do like a 10-day quarantine. So people come here for, a lot of yoga and healing and tantra and self-discovery. And this is great. So it's like full on high season. February is the busiest month, I would say. And then I would suspect that it'll probably go down by the end of April.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, people are coming, not as many as before. Yeah, I work every day. I teach every day.
So, especially what you teach now, like.
What do I teach now? Tantric yoga classes at the moment is what I educate people on. Mm-hmm. And it's a style that I have created so that it suits the level of beginner, I would say, either a beginner tantric or a beginner yogin, to learn about what like Surya Namaskar would be, for example, or sublimation work, or why you would take a pause and do some pranayama or like an integrative phase in a practice, so that people can kind of get the higher realm of where yoga and tantra can go. So it's a unique mix of these two disciplines on a high level, but it is also a little bit of fun. Like yesterday, taught a class where they would have a small interaction with somebody in the class, yet the interaction would then turn to be very focused and meditative and on almost in silence, because as soon as you say as a teacher and you're in a class, okay, turn to the person beside you or find a partner. And as humans with insecurities and all the things that we come with, because it's not so common to turn to someone and just look them in the eyes, for example, or put your hands on their shoulders and, you know, be like, hey, I'm with you. But that is something that humans want. We want to be looked in the eye, and we want to be feeling like we're having support in this world, because we do feel like a lot of times we're alone. So this kind of practice takes away, or tries to take away, the separation factor that we are fearful of in a unique way. Like, okay, don't talk, kind of thing, and then see if you can do it. Because as soon as you say that, they go, oh, my name is blah, and oh, nice to meet you, and all of these niceties that we're socially conditioned to have, but really are not necessary if you're going to be connecting from this, you know, ajna place or sahasrara place or this tantric place. So that's, yeah, what I'm teaching a little bit right now.
So you do it for the couples, or whether the people comes there, they will create new coupling, or how is it like?
Well, it's like, of course, it's not like you're creating couples. It's that here's an exercise as a metaphor for what it might be like to be in a tantric coupling. You know, like the person could be another woman, for example, or it could be anybody that I don't have anybody in common with. But you're going to get something out of interacting with someone, because it's energy. We look at energy, and then you start to understand, oh, this person has this kind of energy, this person, I don't like their energy, this person matches my energy, whatever it might be. And then you can kind of weave yourself through the world in your own actual real coupling or attempt at coupling. The more you learn about energy, and the more you're like, no, 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 yes, I'm into that energy of that person. Otherwise, we just keep, you know, trying these things, and we don't need to waste our time in trying to have a date that it's not going to go to a certain place that you want when you reach a level of consciousness where you know who you are quite well.
So, for example, in right now, see, switching the couples, actually, how does it help them to increase their consciousness?
Well, because
For
energy is,
example, in this process,
yeah.
like, for example, each woman is different, each man is different. So when they go through each one, they may find out their own authentic self. So how does it happen? Like, how what is that happening with you? How did you see this?
The more you go into a tantric bubble or exercise or situation, which is actually happening all of the time, we just don't label it like, oh, I'm doing tantra right now. It's like we are interacting with people all of the time. And so on the base level, we become better at interacting socially with people. The communication gets more clear. You don't need to go through all of the language that your society is telling you to do, like, oh, it's nice to meet you and where are you from and these kinds of things. If you're at that level, you don't need to do that. You can drop into a conversation that is very real, and then realize that it's still coming from the mind. So this is a teaching of tantra or meditation, is we're trying to get out of the mind, and you really essentially need to be a meditator to know that you're in the mind a lot and that you're trying to get out of it. You're trying to go into no mind, like what Osho was saying with a no mind meditation, and garbity goop, like blah, 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 blah. It's it's an exercise that seems on the outside to be ridiculous to the mind. But if you actually do it and experience it, and then go into a situation where you don't need the mind to be thinking about what you're going to say to this person because you want something, or you like something that they have. I mean, we have all of these masks that we are wearing. And the idea is to take those masks off in Tantra, and to take them off in the right time. And so you interact with all of these different people, and maybe I come across the energy of someone where they are not going to like it if I'm not wearing a mask. They wouldn't know. They would be offended. They would be hurt. They would be pissed off if I went into the real satyama, for example. And so I would not take my mask off at that time. I would just have maybe a superficial, short conversation. And then I would be like, that's enough of me using my energy for that. And I would move on. And so it's a real mastering of where you put your time, your energy, your friends, your inner circle, lovers or your partner. I mean, all of this takes your energy if you're going to be in the world. And we learn through these different exercises in tantric yoga or in a tantra class or whatever, by having different people in front of us. Okay, I am doing this with this person right now because that's what I feel is appropriate. It's not that I need to know their whole entire life story, because that would suck up a huge amount of my time, energy, and make me have a headache, and I don't care. And so I would just know maybe a little bit, and then know when to wrap up that bubble of time. It's like, okay, that sphere is now closing, and I realize it, and I move on to the next moment.
So how was your initial moments, like when you went through the tantric practices, when you got initiated into the tantric practices, maybe long back, like you are in the search of the yourself, was the search in your own true self, and how do you compare, like with that self to the self right now you are?
That's a good question. I mean, I would say when I started, like I lived at the Osho ashram, for example, and then I was new to this, and I was like, wow, like for someone even to put us in a situation where it gets very serious and higher level, and we're meditating or looking into their eyes and transfiguring this person, can be very uncomfortable for people at first, and then you laugh and maybe you want to talk and you cannot drop in. So this is quite a beginner way, and I think at first I would do this also. And then the more you are around people that have more of this awareness, and when you hear an instruction, you don't question it. You're just like, okay, here's the instruction. I'm in a tantric exercise right now. I have 20 people to choose from. And then you're like, why? And then it goes deeper. Why am I choosing this person? How am I acting or reacting to this person? Do I want something? Am I manipulating? Am I taking a higher level and not manipulating anymore? So the more and more awareness you have, the higher level of game that you can play between the men and women is very interesting, of course, because we are looking for that relationship that has such a quality to it that you just don't play the game anymore. It's just when that quality of love, that very big, high tantric divine love is there, you basically just drop into silence, and it's like, it happened to me yesterday. That's why I refer to it. And it was not in a tantric exercise. It was just normal life. But I knew I was talking to a very conscious man. And then he just dropped and I dropped, and we looked at each other for about 10 minutes. And it was just, so profound and touching, but that would have taken years of leading up to get to that place where I'm like, well, I actually understand what is going on here, which is love. Like, it was like we dropped in and was sharing vulnerable things about our lives, not knowing each other very well. And then it was stop all of that talk and just be. And that's really where you can get to that place. So you go from being ignorant and insecure to power, manipulation, control, to I let go, I surrender, and I just be, if that makes sense.
The kind of orgasmic experience, that's what you say.
What? We're talking about orgasm now. What was the question about orgasm?
No, the see, once we go into the no mind way, there is no mind is existing. So
Yeah.
the thing which is existing is actually absolute bliss. You
Yeah.
know, there is nothing. I mean, it's pure happiness. So so this is a kind of orgasmic experience, correct?
I mean, yeah, when you're not having a lot of actual, real, physical, like yoni lingam sex, which I'm not, and then I have that, I was like, that was so special that, of course, that was like an orgasm with God, you know? I never thought of it that way because that would be putting like labels and words and mind into it. But sometimes we need labels and words
Yeah,
to
but
describe
yeah, we
things.
how to describe it now. We don't know how to describe that. Like that is why it is so much of hype around it.
Yeah. Well, it's why you actually do things and experience things rather than just like get on our computers and write things about it, because that's just all intellectual and it's not where I want to be. I want to be in like physical embodiment of a practice. And that doesn't happen so often if you're just going through like your daily life, your mundane human life. It might happen in like a very deep meditation retreat, for example. You might have be like, wow, I connected to God there. Or it might happen, yeah, when you're in a very special sexual situation and you're having all of a sudden this orgasm that you never expected before, and you didn't. It's not that the thing would be that you don't want something from each other. Like that's really what divine love is, but you need to actually be able to drop that. I want this from you. And then the possibility of all these cool kinds of energetic or physical or spiritual orgasms can happen. Yeah.
So you are talking about the authentic self. So these exercises you are whatever we are practicing, you are thinking it can help us to figure out our own authentic self, correct?
Hopefully, if people want to find that out. I mean, you also have to want to find that out. And that's also a rare person. If you don't know what finding out about your authentic self is because you're ignorant, then you never find out.
Now, how does this authentic self looks like,
Me, you. I mean, I don't know. There are, I mean, the more I go through life and I try to be as authentic as I possibly can, then what happens is you become more and more evolved, if you want to call that. And what my direct correlation would be is the less I care about what people think of me, the more I know who I am. And that might just be me. I'm not sure, but I don't think so. Like I'm a lot of things. People say like, satyama is this and this and this, and I am a lot of things because I'm driven and I work on it and I love to do things and experience. That would be the openness, I would say, of a meditator, because I remember being so much more insecure if I just went for a run, for example, outside when I was younger. And even here in Thailand, I still go running outside and people yell at me like, what are you doing, Satyama? Going running, run, Forrest, run, or whatever. And they think they are shy to do it themselves, but they want to. And so the less that we can care about what other people are thinking about what we do. And in Tantra, it's a very high level, because I teach Tantra, Tantric yoga, and then there's all these projections on me, like, oh, she must be having orgies and crazy orgasms and many lovers, which is not true. And I just have to I guess hold that, because I have evolved myself to dropping judgment about other people's sexual practices, because I was envious or I was insecure or I thought they were having more great fun and sex than I was. And to see that and to really just sit with it, to know that we are all human, I think that's what knowing what your authentic self is. It's like, hey, okay, I'm envious that these people seem to be having a lot more fun time than me. That's my authentic self. I am envious, or maybe I'm having sex, and I want to share what I learned about it because it has a tantric lesson in it. And then you cannot be shy about that either. Like that's really something, especially for a woman to do that is maybe double hard, because we get, society is like, oh, women are supposed to be so dainty and waiting and kind, but that's because the men haven't evolved to their full power yet. Like if they're not there, and right now what's happening is women are coming into their power faster and faster because they can. We no longer have like a money thing that has to do with, oh, this man needs to take care of me with money or whatever. We don't have it. And so that's changing, and that women are driven and they take risks and that kind of thing as well. So that's knowing who you are and working on it. And the way you work on it is through practices, and the way you practices work is you become more and more and more conscious of what you're doing and what you're thinking. And then you drop that judgment about yourself. And of course you drop it about other people. Yeah.
See, the things which is happening in India right now, the the hijab, which hijab,
Yeah.
hijab. So in India, some schools are not allowing that, and it's become like a very big problem here right now in India. And they are saying it's their own rights, like to cover their face actually. So
why aren't they allowing it? Why is the hijab not allowed? Like it's because it's like, who is saying it's not allowed?
Schools are not allowing.
Because what does it do?
What is that?
Because why?
Because the school has a uniform code, a civil code. Like in school, the religious symbols are not allowed.
So that's what I'm talking about. In societal conditioning, we don't know. We are ignorant because, our parents give birth to us and their parents gave birth to us, and we just follow what they tell us to do. And we think that, I have to wear the hijab because that's what my mother did and that's what her mother did and whatever, right? Or we are like, okay, I did not wear the hijab and that's the way it is. And that's what I'm going to instill on you as a rule of society. And that's the whole thing, is if you are very, very free, you don't care. like we're all human beings with this, we're all naked underneath our clothes and that kind of thing. It's more like, who are you inside, which is quite important. But if we're still buying into what society is, and religions are huge about this, every religion thinks that you must do what you are supposed to do according to this religion, and they don't even like other religions. But if you go to meditation, I mean, it's all spiritual masters are accepted, it's not that like,
I think
Goenka
we all
is
should
saying
learn
this.
all the religions. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, then we would grow, then we would understand. If it's just we are putting ourselves into a box like, I am this, I am Muslim, I am Catholic, I am whatever, atheist, then we are limited. And so if there's not any words put onto these things, then we are more free, actually. Like that's again mind. But if I look at somebody like, if I put on a hijab right now, some scarf on my head, which I will, just for demonstration's sake, like I look quite a lot different now, don't I?
Yeah.
And I would be probably even having a different conversation, and you would be asking me different questions. And even that I have this on, I feel like, oh, I feel more reserved and I feel more sweet or whatever it might be. But essentially, I'm the same person. It's just that the outside really doesn't really matter. It's like who are you on the inner world? But yeah, and this is why in the Osho ashram, for example, everybody puts on a burgundy robe, you know, so we don't tell people what religion or background or country we are from, because then we're getting judged for that. And that's not true, you know. It's like, you're not going to know anything about me until you start speaking to me, and then you will know. But other than that, it's just on the surface. We're looking at everybody, judging all the time because we know nothing. We're ignorant.
So, in your classes, how do you start it with like your teachings?
Well, I do start with like an opening as to this might be something that you've never experienced before. So at least there is a slight leeway into it'll be different and maybe slightly challenging for you. And here's some elements of tantric yoga, and then to start making it of a spiritual or a ritualized manner. Then I open it with consecration, which is a meditation or with music or some specific kind of breath work that will set the stage to go deeper into like this spiritual path. So if you can consecrate something like this, a class, a lesson, or a retreat, or food, whatever, sex also, then it'll be of a higher resonance, because you are offering your efforts, your energy, your lesson, your learning to the divine. So that's important, I would say, to start and end something within a framework. This is what we're trying to do. And you don't know what'll happen in the middle, but if you consecrate something and give it some background, then in general, it has a better result than if you're just like, no, I'm going to practice Tantra. You know, people say this to me all the time. Oh, you go practice Tantra. And I'm like, well, like, really, what does this mean? You know, like, do you think I'm just going to go off into the woods and have sex or what? Like, because the mind is very, very untrained. And so people make fun and judge, because they're trying to put something or someone down that they don't know about in order to bring them up. That's the ego working. And so with being a teacher comes a great responsibility, I would say, to really set the stage and maintain integrity and bring that channel up. And so I need to also be watching what I do in my personal life, what language I use, even what I eat, as an example. This kind of thing is important to show that these kinds of practices do have validity. They will help you live longer. They will help you be more joyful. They will help you get what your heart really wants. They will help point out your ego and that the ego isn't helping you much. I mean, it helps us to stay alive, but it's not helping you get what really is of this beautiful divine nature that sometimes, when people take ayahuasca, for example, they can get to this place, but we don't need to take ayahuasca to get to a place of like, what does vulnerability show me? And as a teacher, it's a really vulnerable place, I would say. As a teacher of Tantra, I'm always in a vulnerable place, trying to explain where I'm going with it to people that don't know. So it's quite difficult, I would say.
So every day, how many people are coming to your classes?
About 25.
For per day?
Yeah.
So you want to organize this kind of programs across the other places also?
Well, in my plan long term, I mean, Copenhagen has been my base now for 10 years. And so when it gets to be March and in May, I will do like longer intensive retreats so we can go deeper into it, different meditations and exercises and different kinds of touch, a lot of different explorations so that you can have 7 days of like tantric experiences to know yourself more and more through also different people. And then I will bring, and I always have also like a retreat to different parts of the world. I mean, this year I think I will travel again to Berlin and also to Portugal and do some retreats there. If traveling is not so hard. And then I also might return to Dubai. I was there in November and do more intense there. It's harder to do in these places also. If the country is not so open, if the country still is telling the people that live there how to live, you can imagine it's harder to teach in Turkey, for example, than it is to teach in Germany, because Germany essentially is more open with the body, with concepts, an intelligent society. Turkey is like, they are still wearing hijabs, and this is the way that they are treating women. Like there can be a 50-year discrepancy of evolution that depends, and it comes from religion, essentially, so I just need to then choose where I go to make it easy for me as a teacher, but it's okay. Teaching is not supposed to be easy.
Yeah, that is why it is teaching.
Yeah.
So anywhere, any plan to come to India to teach a class somewhere, sometime like?
I mean, I haven't planned that far to go to India. I could see it, like, because my connection in Dubai, which is a natural health center, also online, like I've been teaching online people some tantric awakening exercises and such. She's going to buy a place in Goa. And I can see myself going back to Goa and teaching there. Could be I would say probably next winter if I was to go there.
Okay.
It's still kind of full of COVID in India, isn't it?
Yeah. I think Goa is actually not closed now. It's open.
Okay.
Some parts of India actually, like,
I mean, I like Goa, especially go there because people don't know this about me, but I'm a big contact dancer. And if my body is fully functioning and I don't get too old too fast and my knees still work, I throw people around in a certain kind of very beautiful dance that is very big in Goa. So I go there for the contact dance festivals.
No,
and
it's
then I would
so,
do my work
so
after that.
you are so dangerous, na? Like you will just throw away everybody.
Well, it's done in a very it's an intelligent way, like you need to, of course, have the strength and know the energy of the person, and it needs to be, of course, confident.
Okay. So how do you want to promote your work actually, like whatever you're teaching?
The work I'm doing or my book?
The work you're doing.
What I'm doing. I mean, the bigger things that I'm doing that I really think have impact on people that want to go on a tantric path are the tantric yoga intensives. I'm going to plug my phone in because it just told me my battery is going to go.
Yeah.
So The Tantric yoga intensives I am having still in Copenhagen. It's the easiest place for people to come. There's not a lot of COVID here. We don't have to quarantine anymore. And there is an open feel to this island that that promotes Tantra. You know, there's lots of Tantra that can happen here. And then we can do something like, for example, a body awareness exercise. All of us have body shame, depending on if we like our body, our belly, our butt, whatever. And so I could go into something that where, like, you know, people actually took off their clothes and explored this, like really looked at themselves and looked at other people and came into consciousness as to what loving yourself is and what judging yourself is. And so I'm able to do that with a lot of freedom here. And I would say the next thing that I've got coming up where I do things like that with couples and singles combined is in March 24th to the 30th. I'm doing it at the Wisdom Eye. And then I'll do another one similar like that in May. And people say, you know, what do you do? It's very much experiential. If I say a lot of things, people are like, whoa, that's too much for me. We're going to take our clothes off or whatever. And it's never as bad as what it sounds to be. But I would say it's a very deep work, like a deep look at how confident are you, how much are you judging others, yourself, etc., so that you learn to go up, 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 and you learn this through the meditational path and by interacting with other people. So that's what I like to promote that I'm doing now. And then now I'm just planning out what I do in the summer, Portugal and in Berlin.
So if people want to register into your programs, how can they contact you? Like same website?
They can follow me on Instagram. It's open_to_bliss. Or they can go to my website, which is opentobliss.com. So it's opentobliss.com. Or, I mean, they can also get me. I talk to lots of people that have curiosity through these platforms, book retreats, book yoga retreats, and WhatsApp and Line, that kind of thing. Like, I'm quite a open teacher. I have a couple of assistants, but they really just assist me with the retreats. But because I'm the teacher and people want to know like how scary it is, or do I need a partner, or what if I'm a beginner, all of this, it's best to come to speak to me because I'm the one that makes the suggestions as to what we will do in that group. And it's always great, you know, people get a lot of learning out of it, a lot of love, a lot of connection, lots of healing happens. So it's a very beautiful process.
Yeah. You want to add anything else?
I would put in a plug for my book, which is still on Amazon, and the book is called The Tao of Tantric Yoga. But people can also reach out to me through my website, and I send out copies, electronic copies, and whatnot. And that can really take you, if you cannot come, because many people cannot come to Thailand right now still, at least having a bit of a background as to what Satyama's take on Tantric yoga is, can tell you, I should start yoga, I should start meditation, I should, look at what chakras are, etc., so that there's a background leading into like, what is it that we're really doing? And I have an interesting film crew coming in March to make a documentary about what I do and what Tantra is on Copenhagen, and they're called Vice. And that should be ready in a couple of months. So they're coming to film next month, and then the documentary about all of this work will be probably done in about 2 months after that. So this is exciting through Vice as well.
Yeah, about the film, it is exciting to know about. Do you have a little bit more time?
5 minutes.
Yeah. So my time is running here. The Zoom time is running out.
Okay.
We will rejoin again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I'm sorry, the other meeting link, the time is got run out because we changed the connection. No?
Say it again. I just heard you now.
No. What I was saying, the other meeting, the time got run out because we
Yeah.
changed the screen actually. Like you went to mobile phone. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
So we've been speaking about the movie which you are doing.
Mm-hmm. So the movie is, well, it's a documentary that Vice is doing, and I will be filming a scene about transfiguration ritual under the full moon.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this will be very beautiful, and people can really connect onto the ritual practice that's quite important in Tantra, because it has the representation of Shiva and Shakti in it.
Mm-hmm.
And to see how important, what is going on in the universe is as important as what's going on with the individual, because there is this idea that there's no separation when we have full consciousness, and that we love everyone, and the only thing that's causing us suffering basically is we think that we are different than other people. So this will be very nicely done, I am hoping, and they're getting other perspectives about Tantra on the island, such as erotic dance in order to heal, for example. So other people do this, I do not. Or what shibari is, for example, which is actually not Tantra either. It's more about tying people up with ropes in beautiful Japanese ways, and their arms crossed or back so like this. And it's a way to simulate surrender, because surrender is quite a high practice that takes a lot to get to on the meditational path. And so, I mean, that's mentioned in my book, as well as Ishvara Pranidaha as a yogic practice, as one of these niyamas, or an ethic that we can abide to be a good person. I mean, it's really all about getting what you want, being a good person on that path, and making sure that the connection between all of us is present, and having that presence. So I think the production of this movie will be quite interesting. They probably want to sensationalize it, but I'll just take it as my job not to sensationalize Tantra and show meditational exercises and things about boundaries, and how to be a conscious, real person living here is quite a different story than if you're coming to get away from your conditioned life in England or in India or wherever, and then you're like, oh, Copenhagen's so free, this must mean I can do whatever I want, and that's also not true,
So yeah, I think all this is Copenhagen is the place where the peoples will come and dump all their conditioning. That's what you're saying.
I mean, it's already been known as that for the last 10 years or more, really. It's just, hopefully it's not like, it doesn't cause a lot of fear. What happens with all of these kinds of
The
secret
things like
practices?
things like that also has to exist now. Like people has to come
Yeah.
they have to uncondition for some time.
I mean, Osho brought about Tantra in all of his satsangs many, many years ago, like in the 70s and 80s. And still it was, still very challenging, and really judged, and even when he went to America, into Oregon, I mean, he's getting arrested for teaching meditation to Americans, and the rest of the world, they just couldn't handle the openness. And the openness is what people really, really want and what they really value. So it's a challenge to go through, again, this conditioning. But we're getting there, closer and closer.
No, there is some people will take this as like on the name of tantric thing, they do the prostitution kind of thing. So that is the most of the people does that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they think there is some association with tantra and prostitution, but the irony of it is that tantra is trying to get away from prostitution, pornography in every way possible, like to make it this divine practice instead of something that is about getting what you want for money. And I mean, humans are humans and they all want to have sex. It's just like we're looking at the quality of connection around the sex, the unification of the sex with the divine, with love for a person, rather than just like this, very crass physical thing that people think that they want, but then they get it and it's ugly and then you need to heal it. So Tantra can really go into awareness of that, what happens when you're not going about things with the right intention comes with guilt and shame and fear and all these horrible things that you need to get rid of because you did it as a person. And that just goes right back into meditation and forgiving yourself and then not doing it the next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So regarding this movie thing, I also was planning to do things in India, like the places where the actual practices was happening previously, and
Nice.
taking the it's like a project, like documenting those things. So this is in idea stage. I'm trying to do that, like and mixing some music with that, like you can see in my YouTube channel. We do a lot of ancient um, chants. We just want to,
Right, beautiful. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So
really love to combine the kirtan in my programs as well, to really get this idea of the voice resonance of in this part of the body. You need it for people to understand you, and if you're very closed and you can't say your boundary or what you need, it's just going to turn into confusion. And so the chanting is very, very important to purify the Vishuddha chakra, really.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and and I want to sell it through NFT, like it's a technical term, basically, like you put out you do a video or the movie, and you put it in the internet, and you say that is owned by you. So that is like a NFT, that is in blockchain, so people can purchase that ownership, like that is how people are making a lot of I'll share the details of NFT. I don't know whether so you can just put it there. So that is other thing, that is technical thing, like not the yeah, that is
Good
something
to
which
know. I always learn things from you, Arun. It's like the whole tantric lifestyle. You cannot live without what the skills of all of us have, and this is so apparent to me right now in life. It's like, okay, I don't know this thing about technology or about drilling a hole into my house to fix something, I'm like, I need help. And this is such a big lesson for me. It went into surrender and so much beautiful recent learnings I had about high level living,
1 second,
Very nice.
1 second.
You have visitor.
Yeah, I got a visitor. So the music programs which we are doing, we have some group of people. So I got a visitor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we stop there then and do, send me this link and send me your music, also nice.
Yeah, we'll see what is the thing we can do. And the project which is going on, I'll share you those details.
Yeah, and I will share you this, we're filming in middle of March, this new movie. So this could be really interesting for you as well.
Yeah. Okay, then. Bye now. I'll share you this.
Thank you so much, Arun. Nice to see you. Blessings today.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to my podcast. You could connect with me in arunsyoga.in, where you could see my contact details, including my phone number, my WhatsApp, and email ID. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes.